It is time to learn to become unbothered, because you cannot become unstoppable if everything bothers you, if everything pisses you off. And if everything bothers you, you are giving your power away all day long. To every comment on social media posts, the world news, your bank account, your partner saying something that strikes a nerve, your kids acting out, every little thing that doesn't go your way, every symptom flare, things that you feel aren't going the way you want in your life, you're reacting to it. And then you're wondering why nothing in your life is changing. So in this episode, I'm going to show you how to actually become unfucking bothered. Not in theory, but in a way where your nervous system actually starts to stabilize. Your reactions start to change and your life starts to reflect that. And later in this episode, I'm actually going to break down exactly how to do this in real time so that you can stop spiraling and stay unshaken in your unstoppable state, no matter what shows up in front of you. So there's this concept that Neville Goddard talks about that sounds really good in theory until life actually happens. And it's this idea of being unfucking bothered. Living life as though what you want is already here. The wish already fulfilled. Like nothing gets to you. Nothing throws you off. You're just solid and grounded and unshaken, right? You walk into a room like you belong there. You're not worried about what people think. You're not spiraling over what's happening in your life. You're just, good. So I was listening to Neville Goddard talk about this recently, and he was basically saying that the way you stay in what I call your unstoppable state, that state where you feel good, you're grounded, you're confident, you're joyful, you're happy, it's to remain unbothered. And I was on a call with a group of women just the other day talking about this. And several of them were like, okay, well, that sounds great, but how do I actually do that? And they were right. It's easy to say, just be unbothered until you start looking around at the reality of your life, right? Your bank account, your health symptoms in your face, your kids making decisions that scare the shit out of you, or you're dealing with a difficult person in your life, whatever it may be. You feel stuck in your career or your relationship, or you want to find your soulmate, but he or she is still obviously missing in your life, right? And suddenly, honestly, you're not unbothered at all. So let's actually talk about what this means to be unbothered, because being unbothered doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean that you ignore your life or your reality. It doesn't mean that you pretend everything is perfect when it's not. It means that you stop allowing your current reality to control your internal state. You stop letting what's happening around you dictate how you think, how you feel, and how you show up. And here's the part that most people don't understand. Your attention is one of the most powerful things you have. And most people are constantly feeding their problems with it, right? You're feeding your attention with problems. So you don't have a life problem, you have a reaction problem. Everything in your life right now is being filtered through how you respond to it. Thinking about your problems, talking about them, trying to solve them from a space of panic and fear. Replaying them in your mind like a freaking broken record, right? And then wondering why they're not going away. But here's the truth. Your current reality is just old news. And I know that might sound a little out there, but I want you to just stay here with me for a second. So there's a teacher named Abraham Hicks. And if you're not familiar with Abraham, Esther Hicks is a woman who channels Abraham, which is basically a collection of non-physical consciousness that teaches about how your thoughts, your emotions, and your focus are constantly shaping your reality. And one of the things they say that really ties into this concept of being unbothered is that your current reality is just old news. It's a reflection of your past thoughts, your past focus, your past emotional patterns. So whatever you're experiencing right now in your current reality, your symptoms, your circumstances, your stress, that's not being created right now. That was already created from your thoughts and your actions from the past, right? And when you keep reacting to what's happening right now, you keep reinforcing it, which means something really important. You don't change your reality by obsessing over what's already happened, because you can't rewind time and undo anything from the past, right? It's already done. So how you change it, if it's not what you want, is by shifting what you're focusing on right now. Because what you focus on is what grows, always. So if you're constantly focusing on what's not working out for you, your brain's going to find more of that. It's literally wired to do that. There's actually a part of your brain that's responsible for this. It's called your reticular activating system. And its job is to filter reality for you, because there's way too much information coming at you all day long for your brain to process everything. So it has to filter stuff out. It has to decide what's important based on what you're focusing on. So think about this. If you've ever bought a new car, you suddenly start seeing that exact same car everywhere you go, right? Same model, same color. And you're like, wait a minute, where did all these cars come from? I never realized so many people had the same car as me. And they didn't just appear. They were there all along. You just weren't paying attention to them before, right? But now you're more aware of that particular car. Or another example is like a pregnant woman. Suddenly she sees pregnant women everywhere, babies everywhere, strollers everywhere, right? It's like the whole world is pregnant, but it's not, obviously. Her brain just started filtering for that. That's your reticular activating system. It's constantly scanning your environment, looking for evidence to match what you're focused on. So if you're constantly focused on what's not working, your symptoms, your stress, your problems, your brain's going to find more of that thing, right? It literally is wired to do that. But here's the part that should actually really excite you. If you start shifting your attention towards what is working, what does feel good, what you actually want, and acting as though you already have that, like living in that desired state of feeling and being, your brain starts finding more of that instead. It's not because your life just magically changed overnight. Your external reality is going to have to catch up with it. But it follows your state, not the other way around. It happens because your perception changed. And your perception is everything. It's like planting a garden. If you absolutely hate zucchini and you love cucumbers, but instead of planting cucumbers in your garden, you plant a garden full of zucchini and then complain about how much zucchini you have, that's on you, right? You planted it. You planted zucchini instead of cucumbers. And that's what most people are doing with their thoughts, right? They're planting what they don't want and then wondering why that's what keeps growing. And this is where being unbothered becomes really, really powerful. Because when you stop feeding your problems with your attention, your nervous system actually gets a chance to calm down, to reset, to come out of that constant fight or flight stuck state. And when your nervous system is regulated more often than it's not, everything in your life changes. And this is actually something I built into one of my programs because most people don't even realize how often they are reacting all day long. It's constant. And that's why I created my Complaining Detox Challenge. It's a 2-week reset where you start catching these patterns in real time. The thoughts, the reactions, the default responses that keep your nervous system stuck in that survival loop. Because once you realize how often you are actually doing it, you can't not notice it anymore, right? And that's why awareness is so important, because once you start interrupting that pattern, everything starts to shift. So my 2-week Complaining Detox Challenge is a really powerful place to start with this work. And I'm going to link that below for you in the description down below. So back to what I was saying a minute ago, when your nervous system is regulated, more often than it's not regulated, the way you think starts to change. The way you respond to things changes. The solutions you see in front of you change because you're no longer reacting from stress or panic or anxiety. You're responding from a regulated, grounded place. I see this all the time in my work with clients. Someone dealing with chronic health symptoms, and every single thought is, what's wrong with me? Why is this symptom returning? What do I need to do to fix this? Why is this happening to me? It's not fair. Is this going to last forever? All of these questions, and it puts their constant focus on what's going on with their health. And their nervous system is just constantly activated because of this, constantly scanning for new problems to arrive, monitoring symptoms constantly. And then they wonder why nothing's changing, right? Or another example is someone dealing with a difficult relationship. And so they're analyzing every word, every tone, every interaction, trying to figure it all out, trying to control the situation, right? And all that does is keep them stuck in the same loop, in the same pattern. Because the more attention that you give something that you don't want, the more you reinforce it. So if everything bothers you, you're training your nervous system to stay stuck. And you can't heal, you can't grow, you can't change your life from that state. So then the question becomes, okay, so how do you actually be unbothered? And it's honestly simpler than people think it is. You just start acting like the version of you who doesn't have that problem that you're focused on. You learn to think like them. You learn to act like them. You feel like them. You respond like them. And you do that right now. You don't wait until that version already appears in reality. You just start doing that now, not later, when you're finally at the finish line. Not when things get better, now. Because I promise you that the finish line will never appear if you are not moving in the direction of it, because you're focusing your attention in the opposite direction. So if your health was exactly where you wanted it to be, what kind of thoughts do you have? How would you be moving through your day? What would your perfect day look like? How would you feel? If your relationship felt solid and connected and loving, how would you respond in a conversation? How would you express your needs? How would your time be spent together? How would you feel loved? How would you show love? How would you support your partner through a struggle? If you felt confident and secure and fully enough and worthy, how would you walk into a room? What would you pursue that you are avoiding right now? What would your posture look like? What would your facial expressions be? That's the shift. You don't wait for your life to change to feel better. You change how you're being, and your life starts to follow. And this is where people get really hung up, because they think that being unbothered means doing nothing. And it doesn't. It doesn't mean you're just sitting around wishing and hoping and poof, like what you want is going to land in your lap. That's not how it works either. You've got to take action. A lot of people get the law of attraction wrong that way. They think if I just want this thing, if I just imagine it's coming, it's going to show up at my doorstep. It's not how it works. Now you got to take action. So action is 100% necessary. It just means that you're not reacting. You're not moving through life focusing on your problems in a state of fear and panic and anxiety. There's a big difference. Stillness isn't passive. It's powerful. It's self-control. It's choosing not to let your environment run you. And this is truly, it's a practice, an ongoing, lifelong practice. And you're not going to nail this overnight. You're going to catch yourself reacting and spiraling and getting triggered. And that's okay, right? It's all part of it. The work is noticing it, catching it, and choosing differently when you do. Even if it's just a little bit, little steps at a time, you get better and better at this. So when something comes up for you today and you feel that reaction start to rise up in you, I just want you to pause and just ask yourself, is this something I want to feed? Or is this something I need to shift? And this problem that I'm noticing, what's the opposite thing from this problem that I actually want? So, for example, if I've got some health issues, that tells me that I want to be healthy. I want to feel good, right? If I'm having struggles in my relationship, I want to have a relationship that's happy and healthy and loving and kind, right? So when that happens, ask yourself, what is it that I want? Take a breath, move your mouth into a smile, bounce a little bit to move the energy out. Because every time you choose not to feed the problem, you're taking your power back. And over time, that changes everything. If everything in your life still bothers you, you're still being controlled by it. So the moment you stop reacting is the moment your life starts changing. So it's time to become unfucking bothered. So if this episode struck a chord for you, just start noticing it today. Where are you getting pulled into reaction? Where are you giving your attention to things you don't actually want any more of, right? Just notice it. And that's where it all starts. Awareness, followed by shifts in your perception. And if you're ready to go deeper and take the next steps, I've got some resources linked down below for you. My Complaining Detox Challenge, which I mentioned earlier, is a really powerful place to start. It helps you start catching those thought patterns in real time so that you can actually shift them. I've also got my Rewired for Healing EFT tapping program, which helps you start rewiring those subconscious emotional patterns that keep showing up over and over again on repeat and prevent you from really making progress in your healing. And if you want a bigger picture understanding of how all this fits together to resolve those chronic health issues that I work with my private clients on, I've got a free masterclass linked below that walks you through all that. And if you're at the point where you're just ready to have some one-on-one guidance with it, you're like, I am done trying to figure this out on my own, you can apply for a freedom call and we can talk about what working together could look like for you. So if you're watching on YouTube, drop a comment down below and let me know what landed for you in this episode today. And if you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button so that you will be notified each week when I drop new episodes. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, following the show or leaving a quick review helps more people find these conversations. It really, really does mean the world to me when you just take a couple minutes to do that. And lastly, and truly, thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It really means the world to me. I love that together we can change the world by changing who we are being. It's not something that we do alone. It's something that we do collectively. I love you. I mean it. And I'll see you on the next episode.